is Eden Porsangi, and I am the Technical Sales Director here at Microsoft in the Modern Workspace. And I am focused on healthcare life sciences. And today I'm here at our Chicago Microsoft Technology Center. And this is 800 square feet of dedicated space to the healthcare life sciences industry. We call it our Intelligence Healthcare Experience. We have about 90 or so different demonstrations that we do here for our providers, for life sciences, as well as our health solutions. And I'm going to take you guys through a guided tour. I'm actually on a Surface Hub today. So the Surface Hub is what I'm using to showcase the demonstrations here. And before I get started, I just wanted to let you guys know that all of the demos and the equipment that I'm going to show you today are things that are live in production. So they are not things that are futuristic. They are things that our customers are currently using, whether it's in a provider or in a patient home or within the pharmaceutical industry or health solutions. So everything that you see here are things that are live in action today. So you might be wondering, well, what is a Microsoft Technology Center? For those of you that might not be familiar with that, a Microsoft Technology Center is essentially where we bring our customers to showcase our different capabilities, to have hackathons, to build out rapid prototypes, to do architecture design sessions. There's a lot that we do here. We can partner up with the folks at Angel Bee to deliver those types of sessions. We've got these centers across the world. This specific space here in Chicago is probably the most extensive demonstrations that we have across the globe as it relates to healthcare. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take you through what we consider our patient home experience. So within our patient home experience, we have a variety of different things that we can showcase. Essentially, we have, if a patient is, let's say, experiencing some COVID symptoms. So let's say they're experiencing, maybe they have a really bad cough, they're having difficulty breathing. Essentially, here is a bot that we have. It's an Azure bot, and it's essentially a bot that is tailored to be able to determine if someone needs to go to the hospital, if they should isolate, or can provide some tips and tricks on how to deal with some of the symptoms. So in this particular scenario, let's say if a patient has some experiences that they're having around or symptoms that they're having around COVID, they have the ability to say, I'm experiencing some symptoms. Essentially, what happens is the COVID health bot will tell the patient if they should schedule an appointment, if they should isolate, right? So let's say they want to go ahead and schedule an appointment. They have the ability, once they've gone through the symptom checker, they have the ability to go to whatever their device is, whether it's an iPad, an iPhone, an Android. They have the ability to use a variety of different apps that we have to find a specialist, to find their physician, to schedule their forms, as well as be able to fill out any assessment forms, like a risk assessment, or fill out any of their insurance paperwork before they get to the doctor. And the goal there is so that once they get to the doctor, everything's already taken care of. All of that information is already sent to the physician's office. And so they can just go on and directly see their physician. Now you'll see here, we've got a couple of other devices. These are all IoT devices. This is a smart scale. We have the ability to capture any of the information using, like, for example, if you want to check your blood pressure or check your blood oxygen levels, all that information can essentially get sent up right over to Azure, and the physician will have all that information ready and available when that patient comes to visit them. So that's actually also a pill dispenser that we have. It reminds patients of pills, when they should take them, or so on and so forth. I don't know about you guys, but I always forget when I take my pills. But essentially, these are some of the demonstrations that we have at the patient home. So let's say the patient is ready to move on and go to the doctor's office or to go to the hospital. Essentially, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take you over to our admission section. So our admission section is essentially where the patient comes in to check in for their appointment. Like if they are at the hospital, they can get their bracelet. I also have another demonstration here. Essentially, this demonstration here is, let's say if a patient is at home and their AFib detector is sensing some irregularities. What it will do is it'll ask them if they want to go to the hospital, should they call 911? If the patient feels that they're fine, they can just say dismiss. If not, it'll send out a call to the emergency 911, and it'll send an ambulance to the patient's home. While the ambulance is in transit, they have the ability to see things such as the patient's profile, if they have any pre-diagnosed conditions, what they're being requested to go out to visit the patient for. So they'll have all of that information ready on the screen as they're on their way to the patient's home. But essentially, they get checked in here. We have a variety of different demonstrations here. We have admissions, dashboards. We have a lot of other use case scenarios in which you can take a look at readmission and things along those lines. And then let's say the patient is ready to see the doctor. So I have a section here. It's called the internal medicine area. So if you see in terms of the internal medicine section here, we have Teladoc here. So we do have a strong partnership with Teladoc to do virtual visits. We also have the ability here to, let's say, we have children might be coming to a doctor's office with their mom, but they want to be able to call in their dad. So their dad might be busy at work, but he wants to take part in the doctor's visit. So we have the ability to do things like bring the parent into the visit, so that when the doctor is meeting with the patient and the parent, they have the ability to have more of an inclusive visit where the father, even though he might be at work, he'll still be able to dial in and be able to take part in the visit. Now here in our internal medicine section, we have a variety of different demos. As you may know, we acquired a company called Nuance a couple of years ago. And Nuance is bringing a lot of their AI capabilities to help with things like physician burnout, clinician burnout, or just to be able to essentially make the lives of our physicians and our clinicians easier. So we have a couple of demonstrations here where you have the ability to capture audio between a physician and a patient. What it will do is it'll transcribe the audio to text, and it'll use the AI capabilities to be able to translate any of the dialogue to medical terminology and update the patient record. So that's one of the use cases that we have as it relates to Nuance. We do have a couple of other use cases as well that incorporate what we call our Dragon Medical One Nuance technology, where you have the ability to capture information about patient symptoms, and it'll update the medical record with that information. It'll insert templates and update some of the terminology, and it'll put it into a document or an EMR or the patient health record. But we also have a couple of other experiences that I'm going to dive into a little bit deeper. So here at Microsoft, we're hearing a lot of feedback from our customers, especially in the provider space, that they're dealing with a lot of different challenges. One of which is a workforce crisis. There are a lot of nurses that have moved to this traveling nurse type of role where they're being expected to go on site to a new hospital and be able to just jump right into things. So here at Microsoft, we're definitely very, very laser focused on improving employee experience. We understand that healthcare has had a lot of effect on the whole world, but especially a lot of the people that are out there that are there to help keep us safe, right? Our clinicians. And so we've come up with some use cases to help improve or enhance the experience for our clinicians. So when we come here, I have a demonstration to show you that's really focused around a traveling nurse. So let's say a traveling nurse has just come to a new provider and they're expected to start working on their paperwork and things like that. I'm actually going to move this over so that the glare doesn't affect us too much. But essentially here, I have right within Teams. So a lot of our customers are using Teams as a one-stop place, a one-stop shop that they can go have meetings, they can chat with others, etc. But we also have the ability to access the provider's intranet. So in this particular case, we've got the intranet, which is using our Viva connections capability right within Teams. It's customized for the person that is logging into the account. So it'll show specific adaptive cards. It can show things like weather. If this is for a new nurse, they have the ability to, see, if there's shuttle service, if there's any specific guidelines or things like that, so they can get up to speed and get all their HR readiness before they start. They do all their HR readiness. If they have any training that they need to, if they have any training that they need to get to, we also have a capability within Teams. It's called Viva Learning, where what it will do is it'll take all of the different trainings that are out there and it'll put it in one place, so that a new person doesn't necessarily have to go to multiple different websites to access the training they need before they get started, right? We want to get those traveling nurses ready and up and running in no time so that they can do what they do best, which is care for patients. So essentially here, we have a variety of different training sessions that have already been assigned to the new traveling nurse. They have the ability to go through here. They can access, any of the trainings that they need to right within Teams. They can also even do it through a mobile app. So let's say if the nurse has a mobile app, they can do their training on the go. They can do it while they're, on the train or on the subway station or what have you. So there's a lot of different ways to be able to access it, but it's all right within Teams, so it makes it a lot easier to know where to go to get all the training that they need done. We also have another technology that I'd love to talk about a little bit more, and it's called Viva Topics. So Viva Topics essentially allows you to be able to look for information, like let's say if the traveling nurse is seeing a patient and the patient essentially has a particular disease or something, but that traveling nurse needs to find out more information about that disease. So maybe they want to find out who are the specialists in the hospital that can help answer any questions that they have. Essentially here, what they have the ability to do is go through and search the different diseases and be able to find information that's relevant to that disease. So let's say if I were to go select COVID-19, I have the ability to learn about the disease. I have the ability to find specialists. I have the ability to find whatever it is that I need in order to be able to care for that patient as quickly as possible. It also has, we also have here a directory of medications. So I've had a lot of customers in the past who've come to me and they're like, we have a very archaic solution to be able to provide dosage calculations. Like we need to build a solution around dosage calculators, or we need to have a way to be able to share any issues or things that might come up if a medication interacts with another type of medication. So what we've done is, another demonstration that we've done here is we put together something called a medication directory. So within Viva Topics, we have a medication directory as a demo in terms of how you could use this technology. But essentially, you can go in and look up all the different medications that are out there and get as much information as you need to be able to determine if this is the right medication for the patient, if it's going to create some kind of complication, if they're using some other type of medication. But essentially, all this information is at the clinician's fingertips. And so they're able to get that access to that information rather quickly so that they can, again, do what they do best, which is care for patients. We have a couple of other demonstrations in this particular station here. Let me see if I can go through that with you real quick. Unfortunately, it's not loading, so maybe we'll just skip that. We'll just go ahead and skip that. But we have a variety of other different demonstrations that we do here. Things like we have some capabilities around nurse rounding. If you wanted to make that a little bit more of a seamless process. But again, these are all the different demonstrations that we have. You can customize any of these solutions to fit your specific needs, to fit your customer specific needs. Essentially here, these are just demonstrations, like I said, that our customers are leveraging right now, either a full version of it or just a modified version of it. But there are a lot of other different ways that you can use this technology. This is just a glimpse into how, some of the demos that we've built out here for you. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to take you to one of my favorite parts of this healthcare experience, which is called our ICU area. So what I really like about this experience is that, you've got some of the most latest and greatest technology that's out there. So as you can see here, we've got our ICU. The ICU has what I like to call an Azure cadaver. This essentially is what you see here. This is actually an Azure device. And you have the ability, everything that you see on that screen is happening as a result of being able to look into the cadaver. We have a HoloLens experience here that can showcase what you're seeing here on the screen as well. We also have a variety of other different use cases. This is a Hill-Rom smarter bed. This actually connects to Azure itself as well. It also has all kinds of different capabilities, like being able to send a notification to the nurse if the patient is at risk of falling, if there's any incontinence. It can, send capture vitals and send that to the nurse. So there are some abilities to be able to not only does it light up to let the nurse know, but it can also send a notification. So this is one of our, like I said, our Hill-Rom smart beds that it's actually Hill-Rom's, but we're showcasing it here in this space because it does have the ability to do all those smart types of capabilities. We also have a couple of other experiences here. We've got a telehealth cart here from one of our partners, Poly. The telehealth cart essentially allows you to be able to have a virtual visit. Let's say the patient is at the hospital, but they need to have a visit with a specialist that's in another part of the world or another part of the country. This is definitely helpful in our rural communities, right? Like in rural Ohio, where maybe they have a small little hospital, but they don't have all the specialists available to care for patients' specific diseases or things like that. This essentially allows you to be able to bring the physician into the virtually into the provider's hospital room, right? So the patient can then have that interaction with the specialist, regardless of where the specialist is currently at. So this specific telehealth card allows you to be able to do panoramic wide views, things like that. So that's essentially our use case there. But moving over, we also have from the ICU section, if we go over to what we call our administration section, here we've got a couple of other different demonstrations as well. So within the administration section, we've been showcasing a lot of our Microsoft Teams Rooms capabilities. So we have a lot of our providers who still have, meetings. Some of them are in person, some of them are hybrid. We also have a lot of customers in the pharma and life sciences who are still going through that experience too, right? Some of their workforce is at home, some of their workforce is at the office. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to make that hybrid meeting experience the same for everyone. I recall, pre-pandemic, we had a lot of meetings in the office, but sometimes we don't have one or two people who would be working from home. Now, when they would look at the video, it would look like we were all little miniature people at a big conference room table, right? So what we're doing here is we're showcasing some of the experiences we have where we can make the person who is virtual feel like they are within the same room. So some of the devices and capabilities have evolved in the past couple of years to be able to zoom in into the different people that are speaking. It also has the ability to be able to show, a front row of all the people who have recently spoken so that they all feel like they're all in the same room. It's about making it more of an inclusive environment so that, if someone is home, they can still feel like they're included. And then, when we're in the office and we're in a meeting room, we still have that close connection with the person that is dialing in. So essentially, those are some of the use cases that we showcase in this area. We also do have a couple of different demonstrations here. We have an orthopedic saw that was provided to us by Stryker. The orthopedic saw has the ability it has a tie into our Power BI capabilities. So for example, if you wanted to be able to check in a saw or check it out, you have the ability to do so, and it'll capture those metrics. So those are some of the things that we also display here. And again, this is the administration section. So the last area that I like to show you guys is essentially our what we call our radiology section. So that is what is what's listed here. It's what's showcased here. And because we've been going around the room, unfortunately this workstation has hibernated. So let me get that up and running here in a second. So essentially here, we have some use cases in which you have the ability to be able to look at CT scans and things like that within Teams, be able to have a radiologist, be able to interact with like a primary care physician or things like that about CT scans or x-rays that they've done right within Teams. We have a couple of other use cases that we generally demonstrate here that are around what the back office looks like. So if the back office needs to do some send or receive information, we've got a variety of different use cases that we showcase here. But essentially, that's the gist of it. And we've got a couple, like I said, we've got about 90 plus different demonstrations here. So we are able to tailor the experience based on what the customer's needs are. So if the customer wants to be able to focus on the patient journey, what we generally do is we can do like a full day session specifically tied to the patient journey. Or maybe they want to look at how the virtual visits are going. So we have the ability to tailor that experience for that. The goal here, it looks like I might have a question, but yes, smart beds are absolutely secured. Everything that we do here at Microsoft runs on trust. So everything that I'm showcasing here is either tied to our security capabilities. Now you can only imagine, even within this office, we have a lot of people that come and go, right? And so we have everything secured in here because that can also affect, our networks too, right? So we essentially do have everything here secured as well. We have the ability to secure all of the devices. Depending on the equipment, there's different ways of securing it. But essentially, we always like to say that we run on trust, and that's the reason why. But we do have, the ability to even do like a security briefing or be able to run security assessments to be able to tell you where the gaps are and to be able to work with you through that as part of this experience as well, right? Because we do have customers that are coming in and they are having these various experiences, and they also want to understand how to secure it. Like a couple of weeks ago, we had a CISO who was like, I am scared to come in here. But we did a very, very in-depth session with the security officer to go through all of our security capabilities as well. But again, we have the ability to tailor all of the different experiences that we have here based on the customer's needs. We have the ability to do some, follow-ups. If there's any demonstrations you've seen here and you'd like to understand more from the partner perspective, we're happy to bring those partners in and have a session that way, so that we can, like for example, if you want to learn more about the Hillrom Smart Bed, right? We have the ability to connect you to the Hillrom resources, and Angel Bee can work with partners such as Hillrom to work with you to get those types of solutions available and up and running in your environments. I've got about a couple minutes left. I wanted to see if anybody had any other questions that I could help address. I hope this session has been beneficial for you and that you've enjoyed getting a tour of our Microsoft Technology Center here in Chicago's Healthcare Intelligence Experience.
Now, Eden, this was fascinating. Is this the only one really of its kind in the country?
It is. We do have some other variations of this experience in some of our other Microsoft Technology Centers, but I would say this is probably one of the more elaborate experiences that we have.